If that hasn't gotten people to wake up yet, what will? Wake up and realize these people don't care about you. The Libertarian Party is the only party that actually cares about your rights to liberty and freedom. What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Liberty Inc. podcast, your source to all things liberty in NC. I'm your host, Mike Ross, and tonight we are joined by Jeremy Hussey. He is a libertarian activist, and he is also the affiliate coordinator for the Libertarian Party of North Carolina. And you've heard on this show talking about starting affiliates, right? We got 15 or 16 affiliated counties in the state of North Carolina, and we got 100 counties. That means that there are libertarians right now possibly listening to this show in a county that does not have a local county affiliate. Maybe that's you. Maybe you have it in your mind right now to say, you know what? My county doesn't have an affiliate. I think I could use an affiliate. Maybe I'm going to start an affiliate, but you have no idea where to go. Well, make no mistake. We have got the podcast for you tonight. We are joined by Jeremy Hussey. Jeremy, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Awesome, man. So, topic of tonight's podcast is going to be affiliate development, but I always like to bring everybody on the show and just to get to know them a little bit, what brought them to the Libertarian Party. And yeah, man, I'd love to hear from you, man. What brought you on your journey where you're now dedicating hours of your life to the Libertarian Party of North Carolina?
Well, it started all the way back, I'd say 2007, 2008. Okay. I worked for the Ron Paul campaign. And also, not just Ron Paul, but also Alex Jones. That might be a kind of controversial name for some libertarians, but back then he's a totally different dude, and it's between him and Ron Paul. And I went with Ron Paul all the way up until about 2011, 2012 when he retired. And from that point, it was just all about Mitt Romney and all these other neocons. I said it's time to take the dive and join the Libertarian Party.
Yeah, I mean, a Republican Party without Ron Paul is a completely useless Republican Party. When they had Ron Paul, I could at least point to, hey, that guy's actually making some sense on some things. So,
right, and to be fair, the Campaign for Liberty brought out what Massey, Rand Paul, Amash, but is no a substitute for Ron Paul. So,
right.
After that, I had to come to the Libertarian Party. Just naturally felt like, I was at home. So I took the dive and been with the LPNC ever since.
Wow. Awesome. Now, how did you come from, because, I only recently got involved with the state party, right? And I jumped in and they're like, Mike's got video equipment and thinks he can run a podcast. So that's kind of how I've been volunteering. But, going from there, did you dive in right away, or is it something that, because now I know that you're a huge resource for new affiliates, right? Leading that team. I had the privilege of sitting in on one of your meetings yesterday just to get a feel for it. Did you just dive right in, or were you kind of, I'm just going to, join, pay my dues, maybe show up at convention? How quick did you get to the point where you are now, I guess?
Well, it's kind of like a perfect storm, because when I came over at the time, Adam Brooks down in Randolph County was starting up the Randolph County affiliate. So we kind of linked up and got together back 2012, 2013, started building that affiliate. And went to convention that year, and at that convention, they seen a lot of good things we've been doing in Randolph County, and kind of got voluntold into the affiliate team and helping out with that. At the time, it was Brad. He was the executive director, and just kind of assisting him with the affiliate side of things, and it just kind of ballooned out from there.
Awesome, man. So. I did not have to go through the affiliate creation process because a couple of folks in my county and the county next door went through that, either earlier in the year before I started showing up. But it's something that if a county affiliate didn't exist in my county, I'd want to do that. So if someone's out there in one of those, 84 or 85 counties that are not affiliated, LPNC, I can tell everybody, I've been to meetings of a lot of different groups within LPNC, and growing county affiliates is a big goal right now. It's something we want to do. And, I'd love to see all 100 counties affiliated at some point. And LPNC is a great resource, right? You guys are able to help. So if you've got, one libertarian who says, I've got maybe 5 or 10 libertarians that I know in my local community, and we don't have a libertarian party, right? That's probably how some counties start up. What does that process look like? What should someone do, you know, if they kind of do that? And then we'll get into the details as far as what they have to do if they want to affiliate.
Okay, well, the very first step would be, say, you're new to the party, you want to become involved with an affiliate. You would want to go to the lpnc.org website and go to the affiliate page and see what is listed on that page.
Okay.
There are some counties that already started up. It'd be pretty easy. You look down, see, hey, my county's already active. You just reach out to the local chair, and they'll get you involved pretty quickly. If you look through that list and see that your county is not active, you can either reach out to county organizer at lpnc.org or reach out to myself or Joe, the party chair. We'd be more than happy to get you situated and get the process started if something you want to do is starting up an affiliate, which is kind of a hard process. I'm not going to lie. It's very rewarding. You're going to meet a lot of like-minded individuals, and I definitely encourage anybody that has not done it to definitely give it a shot.
Yeah, and I agree. It's been great meeting local libertarians in my area and just planning things that we can do in our county, right? Some things we're looking at, you know, to get the party brand out, you know, with Adopt a Highway program, things like that. But one of our things that we're really passionate about is like in our community, right? How can we show up so that when people look over, you know, in this part of the town, probably in a lot of the state, you know, there's a lot of church groups who are out there who are doing good work for their community, right? Feeding homeless people, doing things like that. And, you know, there's a reason that non-political parties do those kinds of things, right? Because being active in your community, you know, causes your community to appreciate you. And in my opinion, with libertarians, you know, really having a local focus and wanting small local governance to be there, you know, I think that's a great way for us to do it. So if my county affiliate didn't exist and I'm the guy, so I reach out to you, Jeremy, and we'll just kind of play through this a little bit in the podcast. And I say, all right, so Jeremy, I've talked to a couple of other people because I've explored this. I want to be a new county chair, but we don't have a county, right? So I know I heard something about having to go through these processes and have a convention, right? So I know that that's kind of a big piece to formally become it. I know there's a ton of other things like bank accounts and filing forms with the state and all of those other things. But what's that process really look like, right? If I came to you and I said, Jeremy, I want to start an affiliate here for my county. I've got maybe, you know, 5 to 10 other libertarians that, you know, that I know within social circles or reached out to through social media. What would the first thing that you direct me to do really be, right?
Okay, so when you reach out to me, the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to assign you to your local region liaison.
Okay.
North Carolina is divided up into 7 regions for the affiliate team, regions 1 through 7. When that happens and you come to us, we'll assign you somebody that will personally help you in the process.
Okay.
At that point, you know, we're going to just kind of go back and forth, talk a little bit, kind of fill you out, see what you're all about, you know.
Sure.
And, you know, after that, you know, kind of in a back and forth, we're going to go to the NDA, non-disclosure agreement.
Okay.
So, you know, you seem like you're really excited about starting up the affiliate. We're going to send the NDA out. That's to protect the membership data that we have. Because once we get your NDA back, we're going to send you the contact information for the local libertarians in your area.
Right.
That way, at that point, you can start emailing, calling, texting, whatever method that's easiest and most convenient for you. On reaching out to these people, kind of drumming up support for a first meeting.
Right.
That's ultimately what it's about.
Okay.
And while you're doing that process too, we'll be giving you Facebook access. That way you could be posting upcoming events. Say your first meeting, you want to go on Facebook, create an event, kind of promote that, make posts on the Facebook showing that, you know, it's active. We got somebody here, and just trying to drum up support. Yeah. Then once you get, you know, a few people or even more, I've seen 10, 15 people come out before for a first meeting. So your first meeting happens. Basically, you get together, y'all guys are talking. But before that meeting ends, what you'd want to do is elect an executive committee, a local executive committee.
Okay.
And the minimum for that, in the eyes of the LPNC and the state of North Carolina, would be a chairman and a treasurer. Now, if we have more people there at that first meeting, it's always good to include other important roles like, vice chair, secretary. You can even, if you have like 10, 15 people show up, you can have outreach, communications, webmaster, social media. I mean, the list goes on. We leave it to the affiliates to decide what they want to do with those extra roles.
Right.
But at the bare minimum, we need a chair and a treasurer.
Okay, and I think that's really helpful, right? Where if there's a
Right.
small, really spread out, sparsely populated county, in theory, two libertarians, if two libertarians started and said, you know what, we want to build an affiliate that wants to grow to 50 libertarians in our county, right? There's only two of us right now. It's good to know they can get started. I know I would, just from witnessing political things, I would hope that maybe you do a chair, a vice chair, and a treasurer, so that if something gets called to a vote, you don't find yourself in a tie situation, because if you tie, it dies. Whatever you're trying to pass is not going to go. And I think I think in my county, I think we did it with 7. Now, at that first meeting, I guess, so we go through. 2 of us show up, right? We're going to use this minimalist example. Unaffiliated county, we managed to get 2 libertarians to show up. And those 2 libertarians say, okay, I'm going to be chair, I'm going to be vice chair, or I'm going to be treasurer. We both agree on these positions. It's a unanimous vote for the 2 people out of their convention, right? I know that organizations need things like bylaws and procedures and whatnot. Is that something that LPNC can assist with, either in like templates or starting points or things like that? Because I know if someone's coming in saying, hey, I'm passionate about this, but I don't know anything of, the first thing about bylaws, right? What does that support look like, so that you've got your chair and your vice chair or your chair and your treasurer that come out of this, hopefully a chair, vice chair, and a treasurer. Really try to get at least 3 people, to have fair representative voting with no tie potential. But is that something that you guys can help through as well?
Yeah, so we do provide examples for the bylaws.
Okay.
Usually we won't save the bylaws maybe for the second meeting, because the first meeting you're just trying to get the administration put in to get it started. That way, between the first meeting and the second meeting, you have a little wiggle room to kind of go over some ideas, read over the examples we give, and you can make the document your own.
Right.
So come the second meeting is when really you'd want to bring the bylaws forward. It just gets discussed, debated, thrown back and forth. Everybody votes for or against, and then ultimately draft your bylaws at that point. Yeah, there's not too much out there that the LPNC can't help with. We pretty much got almost every base covered when it comes to stuff like this.
So from that standpoint, because I know at one point I was talking to Joe, and you were the affiliate support, just you doing it all, and now with the regions being able to spread that, I think it allows better scale, right? Instead of 100 counties calling one person, it's 100 counties calling 7 people, right? Divides up the labor. But I think that's great information, right? Like, if you want to get you don't need 50 people to get a county affiliate going, right? You can get it going with a small amount, and from there, that's a good thing, right? Where we want to grow our party locally and win locally, but we also want to have some say at the state level, some say at the national level, and just make sure that the interests of North Carolina and even whatever county you're in are represented. And I think that's one way that really helps, right? When you talk about LPNC and convention, right? Your county affiliates can send delegates for your county, right? And that's important to have a voice in the broader party, right? So if you're making that decision to get involved, that's a great way to make sure that your local libertarians are being represented at the state level too, right? By sending your delegates, by having that. Because I believe from what I was told, if you're in an unaffiliated county, it's essentially the first 2 people from that county to show up at convention are the delegates for that county, where if you've got a county affiliate party, you can vote on who the delegates are at those county level, at that county level, and that's who kind of gets the representation. So it is important for a lot of reasons. Yeah, that's awesome, man. So what's that process look like from a time standpoint, right? How long does it take where if someone says, boy, you know, I want to start some libertarian activism right here, don't have a county affiliate, think a county affiliate would be useful, right, to have this set up so that we can take donations in our community and use that money to make an impact. What's that process look like if, you know, you wanted to get started? Is it a 2-week process, a 3-month process, or?
Well, it all depends on the activity level and the drive of the person reaching out and trying to start the affiliate up. You know, it could be a process going from anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks all the way out to multiple months, leading up through to contacting the people, setting up the first meeting, and getting through the bylaws.
Yeah.
So it just all depends on the person doing it and how hard they want to work, and on top of that, the kind of the level of activity in that county. So, for example, say Wake County, if they were just starting up, they could probably be done in a matter of weeks, considering how many libertarians and how active that whole area is over there.
Right.
Versus, say, Haywood County out in the mountains, or up in West Jefferson, something like that might be more rural and more leaning towards old guard Republican versus having more of a libertarian base.
Right.
So all that plays a factor, but on average, I'd say about a month to a month and a half is what I've seen.
Yeah, that's most counties really only meet once a month. So I mean, if that's one of the things, by that second month, right, with that support all along the way, that's pretty cool, man. And I guess one other thing kind of on affiliates that I wonder, and I know a little bit about this, because I've reached out like at the county level, right? So some of the big benefits here at the county level, and you talked about it, right? You sign that NDA and you're really part of that state party there. So information sharing is big, right? So if we wanted to plan an event, while we post things on, our social media, if you're affiliated with the county, with the state, and LPNC has a list of libertarians, registered libertarians, or unaffiliated voters who donated to the Libertarian Party, right? It makes it easier to find those libertarians and reach out to them to try to grow that grassroots local movement that's there. What are some of the other things that the affiliate team, right? You've got an established affiliate. What are some other benefits really that affiliation does to help them grow local, with local activism?
Well, the benefits are great, Mike. I mean, you're meeting with like-minded individuals. When you affiliate, it kind of gives you a more solid foundation to stand on when you're going out into the local community, or going out to like a county commissioners meeting, town hall meeting, something like that. You're not just going as an individual. You could say, hey, I'm such and such with the, say, for example, I'm such and such with Randolph County Libertarian Party. And we're here today to present you with this, or this. That helps a ton. Then, once you affiliate up, you can start running candidates, getting your name out there. And on top of that, you can start doing the fundraising. And out of that, you can grow the party even more.
Yeah.
So there's a ton of advantages of being affiliated.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm excited, man. And I hope that there's some people watching, right, or listening who are in an unaffiliated county. Because I think, if we could flip that, right, go from 15 affiliated counties and 85 unaffiliated to 85 affiliated and 15 unaffiliated. I mean, that would really position North Carolina as a leader as far as growth within the party, right? Because other states are all trying to do the same things, right? We're all trying to grow the broader party and fight back against this omnipotent state. And the only way to do that is to go locally. So, yeah, man, I think those are kind of the big ones. I want to stress to the listeners, we want to build affiliates. We want to grow local. That's how we win. And I was talking about it just in the meeting where, I think every libertarian's like, yeah, if we could get a libertarian president, a libertarian majority in the House and Senate, we could get a lot done that's wonderful for our country. And I agree. but that's kind of an unrealistic pipe dream anywhere in the short term. But if you want that to happen, in my opinion, the best way to do that is, turn a state gold, right? Like, I know that that's what they're, possibly try to do up in New Hampshire, right? But if you can turn your local area gold first, that's going to spread, right? If you get mayors and, a sheriff or something like that elected, and, let's say my county, Gaston County, all of a sudden has libertarians running it at the county level, you're not too far away, right? You're a couple of counties over. I'm sure if we started getting really good results with libertarian policy in Gaston County, that all of the neighboring counties would be like, hey, what you heard about what's going on in Gaston County? Their property taxes just got cut in half, right? Like that's or something along those lines, and people are going to notice, and it'll spread, right? And then all of a sudden you start winning state elections after winning a whole bunch of local elections. And then once you start winning state elections, then it's really only then that national elections are even really in the talking points. So winning local elections is key, right? And having a county affiliate to do that and help campaign, right? Because if I wanted to run for office locally as a libertarian, I could go do it on my own, fund my own campaign, go out there and knock on doors by myself. But I kind of feel like I'd be an idiot to try that because I've got an affiliated county, right? And I would want other local libertarians who are aligned with those same ideas to be out there knocking on doors with me, splitting that workload. And if you're serious about getting libertarians elected in your town, in your county, having a county affiliate of like-minded individuals who are invested in those same goals as you is key, man. So that's why I'm all in on building affiliates, and I wanted to have this topic. I want to have you, and talk about some other things too, because I don't know if affiliate building is an hour topic, so we can jump into some other things that I think are just kind of relevant and fun to talk about. Any kind of closing thoughts or things that someone who wants to get affiliated in an unaffiliated county should know?
Yeah, sure. There is a few things here. We got about halfway through the process. Just real quick, I want to explain to everyone that once you got your bylaws done, after your first meeting, your second meeting, you do the bylaws. Those are completed, right? At that point, in the eyes of the LPNC, you are an active affiliate. In the eyes of the state of North Carolina, you're not quite there yet, but in the eyes of the state party, you are. Taking it to the next level, you have to go down to your local Board of Elections, get the NC Board of Elections affiliate paperwork from them. It'll be the CRO 2100C and the CRO 3500.
Okay.
Statement of organization, party committee, and certification of financial account. And fill those both out, turn them in, make sure the treasurer and the chairman go. So, both can fill out the sections that you guys need to both fill out. And at that point, you go to the NCBOE website, and you got to complete the treasurer training. The treasurer does. Very, very simple and easy. Maybe take you a few hours, and you're done.
Okay.
And you're certified. And at that point, once treasurer training is completed and you got your bank account open, which you would do after you completed your treasurer training, you can start raising money. If you were to raise money before you did the paperwork with the BOE, you're not supposed to do that. You could run a risk of a fine. So do not take any money or give any money out until you go through the steps here of the treasurer training and got your bank account open and got the paperwork with the BOE.
Yeah, and I know that there's probably a lot of libertarians who may hate that point, right? That you need the government's consent and permission to be a political activist. But until we can dismantle that by growing and repealing it, getting hit with fines is not going to be in the best interest of your county affiliate. And every dollar you're giving to the state because you tried to move too quickly without following that step, is a dollar that you can't use for activism to grow liberty in your area. So I appreciate that, man. Okay. Any other kind of warnings or red flags or things that we need to make sure that people do before kind of going gung-ho with fundraising and projects and spending on activism?
Just those steps right there, Mike.
Okay.
Just I know libertarians hate it, but at the same time, I'm trying to prevent everybody from potentially getting a fine or getting
Yeah.
in trouble. So just make sure the NCBOE paperwork is completed. You got your treasure trading completed and your bank accounts open. Once those three are done, you're legal in the state of North Carolina, a full-fledged party in the eyes of the state at that point, and you can go hog wild.
Yep.
Now there is a fine little asterisk point, if I would say.
Okay.
You have the option to pick when you're doing your paperwork. If you raise under, I think it's $1,500, you do not have to file a report each each fiscal quarter to the state. But if you do raise over 1,500, go over the threshold, you do have to make sure the treasurer is filing that paperwork on time, on every quarter or whenever the state party or state of North Carolina demands it. Um, Now you can get fines if you don't turn in that paperwork on time. But I will say this, and you know how government is. This could very well change in 4 years. But in the past, they've been pretty good about not doing that and reaching out to the LPNC if somebody's running behind on submitting their paperwork
Okay.
before doing anything. But you really want to make sure you're staying on top of that if you start raising over the $1,500 threshold.
Okay. No, that's great. Great advice, man. Um, so yeah, man. Aside from that, I'd love to kind of get your thoughts. Right, you've been involved in the state party for a long time. So I mean, I've been looking at numbers, and I was talking to somebody, and we were kind of looking at things, and growth in North Carolina has been pretty darn solid over the past couple of years. And knowing that you've been involved for almost a decade now, man. When you think about it, right? If it was like 2013, you're up to 8 years. That's almost a decade in the party. You've that's got to be encouraging, right? And seeing things there. Where do you see, forget kind of, the whole affiliate topic for a minute. Where do you see LPNC and the Libertarian movement in North Carolina and party going? In the next 5 years, what should we be thinking about? What should we be focusing on? What are some issues that that you think we should really be targeting?
Well, I will say this. When I first started with the LPNC back in 2012, 2013, the state convention was a tiny conference room in a hotel in Raleigh. And you had maybe 20 people there.
Right.
And that was it. This past convention, man, we was well over 100. I mean, we were packed out in a very big venue. So the growth has been absolutely excellent with the LPNC.
Right.
I mean, we are making leaps and strides on a lot of things that we're doing, the membership, the outreach, the affiliates. I mean, it's all great. Some of the things in the next, I'd say 5 years or so, I'd like to see, in the state of North Carolina, I'm kind of a pretty big gun rights guy.
Yeah.
I would like to see a push for constitutional carry. Um, we'll see how that goes. I know it has been introduced in the past. Didn't pretty much not didn't go anywhere, but that's one thing I like to kind of see at like the state level. Some of the things we're pushing more gun rights. I mean, Second Amendment. In my opinion, without the second, you can't have the first, the third, the fourth, the fifth, et cetera, et cetera. Just personally for me, that's kind of like what I would like to see.
I'd love to see it. I mean, I have my concealed carry permit, right? But I think through like there's so many people in North Carolina, right, who may want to be able to protect themselves, right? If maybe it's a single mom who doesn't live in the best neighborhood, right? There's so many, or a wife who's scared of an abusive husband, right? And the process to get it, well, it varies from county to county, right? Let's be honest, some counties are better on the process than others. But when you talk about the Second Amendment should not, the right to bear arms should not be infringed. Well, not only are you making people jump through hoops from a time standpoint, right? But to me, getting my concealed carry, like, okay, I pay for a class, I pay a fee to the county and state, and I wait a little bit of time and I get that. but you know, I'm middle class, right? Like that's not a problem for me. So it's not stopping me. But if I was poor, right? Like, you know, I'm worried about being able to afford the gun and the ammo to be able to do that. So now you add this extra layer on top of it, and it's essentially, you know, it deters people based on socioeconomic status from getting a gun, right? I forget what state it was. It was one of our neighbors. It was either West Virginia, maybe Kentucky. I forget what state it was, but their Supreme Court actually came out and made a ruling that you cannot tax firearms or ammunition because the government levying a tax on those particular products is essentially infringing on that right? You don't have a right to buy it based on what market forces say you should have to, you know, determine your eligibility. But and I think that's pretty neat, and I'd like to see more of that. And I think that gun rights, you know, is an issue that in North Carolina is definitely a winning issue. I mean, it's definitely a libertarian issue as a whole, but I feel like it's a winning issue in North Carolina too, that I would definitely support.
Oh, most definitely, and I love to see more of that too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think those are good ones. As far as other things, I know that there's some other issues that are North Carolina specific that people have talked about. I know we've talked about ABC, right, and the whole process with the alcoholic beverage control in North Carolina being kind of off, right? That's a big one. What does it look like though? You know, as far as we've got some candidates, right? I think we've got a couple of candidates going in 2021. What would your kind of view as far as growth, right? Because I think we've got a really good focus. I've talked to a lot of people within LPNC, and getting local candidates elected is a big goal. You know, I've thought through, you know, over the next like 5 years, I've kind of said, you know, I'd like to see maybe, you know, 20 elected libertarians. I've heard some people say kind of a lot higher. What do you think, you know, it looks like, right? We continue to grow membership at the LPNC, but the goal is, right, the goal is to ultimately win elections and have the political power to make changes towards liberty for citizens. What does growth look like for you there as far as realistic? Because I think you've got probably a better finger on the pulse of what counties are doing as the affiliate coordinator. You kind of have a feel for what all the counties are doing. What does that look like, you know, in your opinion?
Well, that's more of what the coordinator that handles the candidates kind of covers. But I could touch on that a little bit. Locally, you know, after you start up, naturally you want to try looking for your candidates, because you know that's one way of getting big time exposure, especially to a new affiliate, is running somebody.
Right.
I know I ran back in 2014, right after we started up Randolph County, a year or two after that. And man, it's a great experience. I encourage anybody that hasn't ran for office, definitely do it at least once. You learn a ton about your local government, your local papers, your local people, getting out there, shaking hands, talking, and all that. So I definitely encourage anybody listening, definitely at least once in your life, give it a shot. Maybe don't have to be county commissioner like I did. That's kind of a big position to do your first time.
Sure.
At the local level, it could be dog catcher, soil and water, you know, list goes on. You get the idea.
Yeah.
But locally, we've had a few come forward running for different offices. We actually had one up in the mountainous areas. Surprisingly, came forward to us, said, "Hey, by the way, I'm libertarian. We're filing." No active affiliates up where he lives. Because like I was explaining earlier about the mountainous areas,
yeah,
it's kind of hard to find a libertarian. So we had one just show up, big hardcore libertarian. So we're working with him, maybe going to start up some affiliates up that way, and we're going to help him out on his campaign going forward, and hopefully, knock on wood, he wins the race. You know?
Yeah.
Because the biggest thing about libertarians winning is we're on the ballot. We just have to convince the people to put the check mark next to our name instead of the Uniparty.
Yeah, I feel like with everything we're seeing, right? And you know what, we talked a lot there, and I got a little bit of leeway. We can talk broader national kind of things, but I look at the Libertarian Party and even beyond, right? Like just libertarianism and the idea of being on the opposite spectrum of the liberty authority axis, right? Within the political compass, where I'm looking at the national level and seeing things like Jack Dorsey tweeting out a link to his 5.6 million followers of Anatomy of the State by Murray Rothbard, right? Like, and I look at that, and then we see, the nightmare going on in Afghanistan, right? Where, I've been talking to people there where there's not a right time to pull out of a war that shouldn't have been started in the first place, right? Where people are, the timing, look, the Taliban's going to control Afghanistan if the United States or some other occupying force isn't there, because they want to and they have the most will to fight. It doesn't matter if we're there 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, 100 years. Unless it's permanent occupation and we're turning Afghanistan into the 51st state and willing to put the full force of the U.S. government behind keeping it, there's no winning solution. And we're seeing things there where, Ron Paul was right trending on Twitter. Murray Rothbard trending on Twitter, and you see all of these big things, and it gives me hope. And I even look and see, people that I know in my circles. Like I've appreciated my circles. I keep my Facebook friends close because they're all people I know in real life, and they're about 50% Democrats, 50% Republicans until I started making friends with a bunch of libertarians, right? And I've seen people, Republicans and Democrats, opening their eyes to liberty, right? And kind of looking at this and saying, man, and it's hard to ignore. And, and people are pointing out, yeah, Barbara Lee was right too on this one, and she's a Democrat. Ron Paul was right on the war too, but more and more libertarian ideas are being embraced. And I feel like, because there's a lot of libertarians out there who, maybe think that the Libertarian Party, right, the structure is not the best avenue, right? Look, everybody's welcome to their opinion. But if the ideas of libertarianism are spreading the way that we see them spreading, with libertarians getting on rather big platforms and talking about libertarian ideas. And the funny thing is, unlike the Uniparty, our ideas aren't changing with what's popular, right? We're saying the same stuff now that we were saying in the 70s. And it's just now, after all these decades, that all these things that people are, that libertarians have been saying for a long time are starting to get through to the normies, as I know some people would refer to people who are not embraced in libertarian thought. And I think that the Libertarian Party, like, forget national for a minute. And you know what? I think there's a lot of debate on LP National, right? On what their role is. But when we're talking about libertarianism in North Carolina, right? If we want these ideas, these fundamental premises of liberty, don't hurt people, don't take their stuff, don't initiate force, and say, hey, we want to apply this to all interactions, right? Between you and your neighbor, between you and your government, between your government and you, right? Like, apply those principles. And I think the Libertarian Party, especially at the local level, is a fantastic avenue for that, because it shows people, the national media makes us out to be domestic terrorists, right? Like, which we joke about it. A lot of us libertarians do have a pretty dark sense of humor. So we have our little, exposing friends to extremist content banners on Facebook and whatnot. But I think the party is great, man. What at the local level, I know you're involved with LPNC, but you've been in the party for a long time. You care about your county. What are the conversations like? Are you seeing similar things among, any Republicans and Democrats that you associate, that they seem to kind of have that awakening to at least, or libertarian curiosity, where they're more willing to talk about ideas with you?
Yeah, I could tell you this. Joe Biden has been a big boon for people coming to the libertarian message. I've seen in a while. Even I could say probably more so than Trump so far. I've seen two or three hardcore Democrats coming out saying very libertarian ideas on, no nation building or policing of the world in regard to Afghanistan. Um, and it's really really good to see that kind of rhetoric and idea coming from people even just a year ago were hardcore left leaning Democrats. So the message is getting out there, and Biden is doing a good job of kind of waking people up. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I know there's one thing I'm kind of dreading here, and uh, it was 2 weeks ago. Stephen DeFiore was here, and he happened to be in our meeting, and we did the insanely spicy stuff, and you pointed out, hey, I've got the last dab too, which scared the hell out of me because I knew where it was going. Um, and I kind of thought for a time standpoint, there's a tradition. If anybody's ever watched this podcast before, there's a way I always kind of like to wrap up the show. And I'm going to throw you your chance because I'm going to tell everybody, I really don't want to do this, but Jeremy called it out and said, hey, he'd be down to do this, and we were like, hey, but it's Zoom, right? Steven was like my county next door. So it was easy to invite him over to my house and do that. But Jeremy said, well, hey, I got the last dab too. And he said, you want to do that? And I'm going to be honest, I don't, but I'm willing to because the reality is on YouTube and things like that, people suffering for some reason gets people to watch. Right? Like,
for sure.
What is it about suffering that makes people want to watch? And that's suffering. So I am prepared if you wanted to do that before we go into kind of the closing questions here.
Yeah, I'm game.
So I don't know how much of this stuff you want to do. I just brought a spoon.
Just dab it however you like to do it.
But it's gotta be even, dude. I can't look like a punk if you go out here with like a full tablespoon and I got like a little drop on the tip of my spoon.
Well, I don't know about yours. Mine's super thick, so it's gonna come out and about like a perfect dab.
Okay, yeah, mine's not perfect, but I guess we'll do this, and then I was debating this with Steven, like who has it harder, like in that whole show Hot Ones, right? Who has it harder? Because the interviewer who's asking it has to talk first, right? Like they're taking it there, and then they have to ask the question. I'm gonna go with that's a, whatever. It'll be a big dab. And we soaked those wings we soaked those chicken nuggets with it, so it's probably maybe gonna be a little easier. Just for comparison, that's on a tablespoon. That's what mine looks like.
Mine's on a sausage.
On a sausage. All right. Yeah, there we go. So let's do this, and then I'm gonna ask you a fun question that we'll use to kind of wrap up here. But this is I've got the last dab Apollo, which is there. You got the last dab at Triple X, which I think was like the season before.
Right.
We both like this stuff. You have it. You're probably not going to suffer at all. But let's finish this thing off with some deathly hot sauce, and then we'll wrap this thing up. My God. That stuff is really, really hot.
About 3 million Scoville's worth.
Oh, man, the hiccups are coming.
Yeah, but I do this for fun. So, it ain't nothing but a thing for me.
You did this just to put me through torture because you can. Look, man, the hiccups are coming. So, oh, my God, if I have to do this with hiccups, man, this is going to be really hard.
But to answer your question, I think the people coming on the show the last dab's got it more rough than Sean Evans. But you got to think, Sean Evans, he can see it off of me too. People that do this for fun and do it a lot, they're very used to the spice. So he does feel the pain, but it's way more extreme for people that don't do it often. They'll, get the hiccups or...
Dude, I love I love spicy food, and this is still next level.
Well, I mean, for the very, very, very hot stuff, that's what I was kind of referencing there. So I think Sean's got a little easier because that's what he does for a living. So
fair enough. Well, you did the hard part for me. You managed to save the fact that I couldn't talk for a brief moment. So here's how I'm going to throw you the question here, Jeremy. I know as libertarians, we hate authoritarianism. We don't like dictators. We don't like tyrants. We believe that everybody should self-govern. But I want you to forget all that for a minute. And we are going to put the magic, we'll call it the Apollo crown, on your head that has magical powers and grants you the ability to but think any one thing into reality. It can be a piece of legislation. It could be stripping a piece of legislation. It could be changing the hearts and minds to one thing. It could be basically one political wish, but only one. Once you make your decree, whatever it may be, you get no more. And what, Jeremy Hussey, would be your one dictatorial political wish?
Abolishing the Federal Reserve.
I think that is a good one. And what's well, it's an audience of libertarians. You all know what would happen if we abolished the Federal Reserve. It would all collapse. But I take it that's the reason, right? You end the control over the money, you end the power, or the means that they use to control that power.
Yep.
I don't know why I did this again. Especially with someone who just happened to have a bottle of the last dab at their house, which tells me that it's something that you at least partake in on a semi-regular basis.
Yeah, I got this. I got Love Burns, which I believe is on this season of Hot Ones 2. We got one down there. It's Ghost Pepper, Blueberry Ghost Pepper. It's just ghost pepper and blueberries. Super good for breakfast on pancakes and eggs and stuff. So, and we got the hot honey too to go with it. So, big on the spice here.
Well, Jeremy, I have to say, you are far tougher than I when it comes to this stuff. And I used to think that I liked spicy food. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or what, man. I feel like I used to not be such a punk about it.
Well, you keep doing it every time you do a podcast episode. The next thing you know, you'll be wanting to go hotter and hotter.
Yeah, I don't know if there is much hotter than this, dude. Other than like pure capsaicin crystals and the insane stuff there. But, dude,
I think I read up on it. Ed Curry down there in South Carolina's got like 2 or 3 generations raised up that he hasn't released yet, one hotter than the other. So each time one comes out hotter, he'll release another one that's even hotter than that. I don't know if that's true or not. I think it's something I've heard or read. So,
well, he
leave it to him.
He came out with this Apollo stuff, man, and I had the one with the Reaper in it, and this is next level, dude. And you know, even Pepper X, I had the Pepper X one, which is not fun, but at least they give you a little bit of cumin and ginger in yours. It's funny, before we were comparing the bottles and the ingredients.
It's perfect for a chili.
Yeah, I might put that amount that I put in like that I just put in my mouth in like a whole pot of chili.
Yeah,
and everybody would think that whole pot of chili was pretty spicy.
Like, but that would be like the perfect amount of spice where you could savor the chili and have the extra kick to go on top of it.
Oh man, so. Dude, I'm trying to think of things, but man, I can't even think of any like meaningful questions right at this moment. The least meaningful question, the only question that came to mind is a controversial issue here in North Carolina, and it just came to mind, unliberty related. So you know, answer at your own will. But North Carolina is known for a lot of different types of barbecue sauce. What is the best kind of barbecue sauce in North Carolina?
Oof. That's a tough one.
Unrelated. I'm thinking food because of this Apollo having it going, and you're either gonna make some friends or some enemies with this one, Jeremy. And
I'll be quite honest when it comes to North Carolina's barbecue sauce. They're all good. I like them all. I don't really have a favorite one. You know, I've had quite a few of them go to barbecue place in Lexington. You You got a selection to choose from.
Oh, Lexington has some killer barbecue.
Yeah. And you know, they're all good.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see if I can make North Carolina hate you as much as they're going to hate me after I say this one. When it comes to sauces, I actually prefer the South Carolina mustard-based sauces. I don't know. If I'm going to give it, I'll answer the question myself. If I'm having North Carolina, I prefer the vinegar-based. Personally, the vinegar-based is my preference. And, dude, I can't think, man. Jeremy, first off, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you for sharing about the process of creating an affiliate, the support that affiliates have. As far as willingness, you said it. Everybody I've met since joining and getting involved with LPNC has been extremely welcoming, extremely helpful, extremely generous with their time. So as Jeremy said, if you've got an affiliate that you want to start, follow the Libertarian Party on Facebook. You'll see that a lot of the people there will comment. They will send them a message. They'll reach out to you there. Feel free to plug any email addresses or any other ways, but we want you to get involved. There's a lot of people in this country who will be open to the ideas of liberty, and we as the Libertarian Party need to be in the forefront, helping guide those people towards the libertarian principles that will make society better for all North Carolinians. So with that, I am going to hand it over to you, Mr. Hussey, to close out the show so I can just put some bourbon in my mouth and keep it there.
Thank you for having me on, Mike. Just for everybody interested in starting an affiliate, I would direct you to lpnc.org. Look under the contact list for your county. Let's see if you already got one that's active. If you do, reach out to that chair, see what you can do to help. Maybe you can run for office, help them out, making phone calls, working local events. The list goes on and on. If you look on that list and you don't see an affiliate for your county, reach out to us. We'll have a talk and we'll get started on the process, and it's a very rewarding experience starting up an affiliate. So I implore everybody to please visit lpnc.org and reach out to us, and we'll make it happen.
Jeremy, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for listening or watching. Make sure to hit the like, subscribe, and as Spike Cohen said on his episode, also the bell. You got to hit the bell. We will see you next Sunday at 6 p.m. Get out there and spread some liberty.